Ancient roots, enduring presence, the Anishinaabeg legacy. The story of the Anishinaabeg people is one of resilience, adaptation, and a profound connection to the natural world. Their legacy is deeply woven into the fabric of North American history, and their cultural contributions continue to resonate today. The Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians, also known as the Ojibwe, are part of the larger Anishinaabeg nation. This nation is a collective of indigenous tribes that have shared a common heritage and cultural practices for generations. This group of indigenous peoples includes the Odawa and Potawatomi. Together, these tribes have maintained their unique identities while also sharing many cultural and linguistic similarities. Their history stretches back centuries, long before the arrival of Europeans. The Anishinaabeg have a rich oral tradition that has preserved their stories, beliefs, and knowledge through countless generations. They lived in the Great Lakes region, a vast area encompassing present-day Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Ontario. This region, with its abundant natural resources, provided everything they needed to thrive. The Anishinaabeg people were deeply connected to the land and water. Their way of life was intricately tied to the rhythms of nature, and they developed sustainable practices to ensure the health of their environment. They relied on hunting, fishing, and gathering for their sustenance. These activities were not just means of survival, but were also deeply embedded in their cultural and spiritual practices. Their culture was rich in storytelling, ceremonies, and a deep respect for the natural world. Stories were a way to pass down knowledge, teach moral lessons, and keep their history alive. The Anishinaabeg people tell stories of their migration westward. These migration stories are a testament to their adaptability and resilience in the face of changing circumstances. They were guided by a prophecy to find the place where the food grows on water. This prophecy was a central part of their migration narrative and guided their journey to new lands. This led them to the Great Lakes region, where they encountered wild rice growing abundantly. Wild rice, or manumin, became a cornerstone of their diet and culture. Wild rice, or manumin, became a staple food source. Its harvest was a communal activity that brought people together and reinforced social bonds. It remains culturally and spiritually significant to this day. The traditions surrounding wild rice harvesting and preparation are still practiced, keeping this vital aspect of their heritage alive. The Sault Ste. Marie tribe specifically settled in the area around the rapids of the St. Mary's River. This location was strategically chosen for its rich resources and its importance as a meeting place. This is where Lake Superior flows into Lake Huron. The confluence of these Great Lakes created a unique environment that supported a diverse array of wildlife. The rapids, known as Bawating in the Anishinaabe language, meaning place of the rapids, provided an abundant source of fish. The rapids were a natural gathering point for both people and fish, making it an ideal location for settlement. Whitefish was a particularly important food source. It was not only a dietary staple, but also played a role in their cultural and ceremonial practices. It continues to be a vital part of the tribe's cultural heritage. The preparation and sharing of whitefish dishes are traditions that have been passed down through generations. The Sault Ste. Marie region served as a central gathering place for the Anishinaabeg. It was a hub of social, economic, and cultural activity where people from different bands would come together. This was due to its strategic location and abundant resources. The area's natural wealth made it a key site for trade and interaction among various indigenous groups. It fostered trade and cultural exchange among different bands. These interactions helped to strengthen the bonds between different groups and ensured the flow of goods, ideas, and traditions across the region. Crossroads of commerce, Sault Ste. Marie and the fur trade. This chapter delves into the rich history of Sault Ste. Marie, a pivotal location in the fur trade that shaped the economic and cultural landscape of North America. The arrival of Europeans in the 17th century dramatically altered the landscape of North America. Explorers and settlers brought with them new technologies, ideas, and a hunger for resources, forever changing the lives of the indigenous peoples. The French, eager for furs, established a trading post at Sault Ste. Marie in 1668. This post became a crucial point of exchange, where European goods were traded for valuable furs such as beaver pelts, which were highly prized in Europe for making hats and other garments. This marked the beginning of a long and complex relationship between the Anishinaabeg and the Europeans. The Anishinaabeg, skilled in hunting and trapping, provided the furs that the French traders sought, while the Europeans offered tools, weapons, and other goods in return. The fur trade brought economic opportunities to the tribe. It allowed them to acquire goods that were previously unavailable, enhancing their way of life and providing new means of survival and prosperity. However, it also led to competition for resources and dependence on European goods. As the demand for furs grew, so did the pressure on the environment and the indigenous communities, leading to conflicts and a shift in traditional ways of life. The Sault Ste. Marie Band played a pivotal role in the fur trade. They were not just suppliers of furs, but also key intermediaries who facilitated trade between the French and other indigenous groups further inland. They acted as intermediaries between the French and other indigenous groups further inland. Their deep knowledge of the land and established trade networks made them indispensable to the success of the fur trade. The tribe's knowledge of the land and waterways proved invaluable to the French. They knew the best routes, the locations of key resources, and how to navigate the often treacherous terrain. They guided expeditions and facilitated trade routes, ensuring that goods could be transported efficiently and safely across vast distances. This expertise was crucial in establishing and maintaining the fur trade networks. The Sault Ste. Marie region became a strategic hub for the fur trade. Its location at the crossroads of major waterways made it an ideal center for commerce, attracting traders, trappers, and merchants from far and wide. This solidified its importance in the growing colonial economy. The fur trade not only brought wealth to the region, but also played a significant role in the broader economic development of North America. However, the fur trade also had detrimental effects on the Anishinaabeg. Overhunting depleted animal populations, leading to a scarcity of resources that had once been abundant. This environmental impact had long-term consequences for the ecosystem and the people who depended on it. Diseases introduced by Europeans ravaged indigenous communities. Smallpox, influenza, and other illnesses to which the indigenous people had no immunity caused devastating epidemics, reducing populations and weakening social structures. The introduction of alcohol further disrupted traditional ways of life. Alcohol became a trade item, leading to social problems and further complicating the already strained relationships between indigenous communities and European traders. Despite the challenges, the Sault Ste. Marie tribe maintained their presence in their ancestral homeland. They showed remarkable resilience, adapting to the changing circumstances while striving to preserve their cultural heritage and identity. They adapted to the changing circumstances, forging new alliances and navigating the complexities of the colonial world. Their ability to negotiate and adapt was key to their survival and continued influence in the region. The fur trade era left an indelible mark on the region's history. The legacy of this period can still be seen today in the cultural and economic landscape of Sault Ste. Marie and its surrounding areas. It shaped the relationship between the tribe and European powers for generations to come. The interactions and exchanges that took place during the fur trade era laid the groundwork for future relations and had lasting impacts on both the indigenous and European communities. A struggle for identity, the path to federal recognition. The journey of the Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians towards federal recognition is a story of resilience, determination, and an unwavering commitment to preserving their identity. The arrival of the United States as a colonial power brought new challenges to the Sault Ste. Marie tribe. The early interactions between the colonizers and the indigenous people were marked by a complex mix of cooperation and conflict. The tribe's relationship with the U.S. government was characterized by a series of treaties. These treaties were often negotiated under duress and with promises that were rarely kept. These agreements often resulted in the cession of land in exchange for goods and promises of protection. The land, which held immense cultural and spiritual significance, was taken away, altering the tribe's way of life forever. However, the U.S. government frequently violated these treaties. The promises made were broken, leading to a deep sense of betrayal and loss among the tribe members. This led to the displacement and dispossession of many indigenous peoples. Families were uprooted from their ancestral lands and their traditional ways of living were disrupted. The Sault Ste. Marie tribe, like many other tribes, faced immense pressure to assimilate into American society. The government implemented policies aimed at eradicating indigenous cultures and languages. They endured policies designed to eradicate their culture and language. Children were sent to boarding schools where they were forbidden to speak their native language or practice their traditions. Despite these hardships, the tribe persevered, maintaining their distinct identity and traditions. They continued to practice their ceremonies and pass down their crafts from generation to generation. In the 20th century, a growing movement for indigenous rights emerged across the United States. This movement was fueled by a renewed sense of pride and a desire to reclaim their heritage. Tribes began to assert their sovereignty and demand recognition from the federal government. They organized rallies, spoke out at public forums, and took legal action to assert their rights. The Sault Ste. Marie tribe actively participated in this movement. They joined forces with other tribes and advocacy groups to amplify their voices and push for change. They sought to regain control over their own affairs and secure their rightful place within the American political landscape. This involved a long and arduous process of legal battles and persistent advocacy. After decades of advocacy and legal battles, the Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians achieved federal recognition in 1972. This was a monumental achievement that marked the culmination of years of hard work and dedication. This landmark decision acknowledged their status as a sovereign nation. It was a moment of celebration and validation for the tribe, affirming their identity and rights. It affirmed their right to self-governance and access to federal programs and services. This recognition opened up new opportunities for the tribe to develop and thrive. Federal recognition marked a turning point in the tribe's history. It provided a foundation for their future development and self-determination, allowing them to build a stronger community. It provided a foundation for their future development and self-determination. The tribe has since focused on cultural preservation, economic development, and improving the well-being of their members. It also served as a testament to their resilience and unwavering commitment to their heritage. The Sault Ste. Marie tribe's journey to federal recognition is a powerful reminder of the strength and perseverance of Indigenous peoples in the face of adversity.